This is truly the first DEI debate.
Well, upon further review, the American public has decided that debate was rigged.
Was it? Now look, it has been 2 days since the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump took place. And we still have Donald Trump and his allies insisting that he outperformed Kamala Harris, while they also lash out at the ABC News moderators who moderated the debate. Now, in other words, they're reaching never before seen levels of copium. It's kind of incredible. Now, we'll get back to Trump shortly, but before we do, we're actually gonna take a quick trip back to Fox News, where the conservatives are kind of doing their best to try to spin this, which is honestly a shame. A day after the debate, the morning after the debate, you had conservative pundits kind of tethered to reality, willing to tell the truth about Trump's performance. Now the spin cycle begins. First, let's start with Greg Gutfeld, who called the debate a DEI debate and also talked about how it's all misinformation. Let's take a look.
You could say if you complain about the refs, you're losing. Well, if the refs are corrupt, you gotta complain because everybody lost. I actually got dumber watching it. I felt like my brain was being waterboarded by the sheer nonsense of these idiot moderators. I honestly don't know how anyone can decide who won the debate. That's like trying to guess the price of a painting that you suspect is a forgery. You can't objectively decide a winner in a sham competition. This is truly the first DEI debate, where one candidate was subjected to a high standard and the other was held to no standards at all. For many Americans, Harris entered as a mystery and exited as a mystery, and that was the goal, to keep her under wraps. So anyone who attributes that to Kamala's skill is an idiot. Congratulating Kamala for the debate is stolen valor. You should be congratulating David Muir and Lindsey Davis, who did the heavy lifting. And so calling that a debate is disinformation.
Greg, have a little bit of self-respect. Like seriously, have a little bit of self-respect. I get it. Your preferred candidate didn't perform well. You're really upset, so you're trying to spin this and blame the moderators. And as I talked about on the show yesterday, I do think that there were areas where they were willing to fact check Donald Trump, but unwilling to fact check Kamala Harris. She repeated the bloodbath lie about Trump when Trump was obviously talking about, if you look at the rally speech, he was talking about how if he loses, the economy will be a bloodbath. They tried to make it seem like he meant there will be a bloodbath in the country, meaning violence and all that. And they didn't correct her on that and other things. So I agree, there were some areas where I'm like, it seems a little bit unfair, but Trump, I mean, that debate was foible after foible, mistake after mistake, missed opportunity after missed opportunity. I mean, he's supposed to be the guy who's strong on immigration, and rather than talk about actual legitimate issues, he immediately went to people eating cats.
Yeah, look.
Come on.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. So first of all, if this is the first DEI debate, that you've accidentally greatly complimented DEI, because 2/3 of the country thinks that she merited the victory in the debate. So you're saying, look at this DEI debate where the black woman actually won according to most Americans, and we don't want that. We want the old white guy to win, even though he didn't earn it. Sounds like you're doing DEI.
100%.
Okay, or your version of DEI, what you think DEI is. So, all right, look, this constant belly aching about fact checking is absurd and really embarrassing. So if you say that anything that they fact checked is wrong, all right, well then that would be a real big problem. But you can't make that claim. Their fact checks were 100% right. So I don't like the fact that they had facts in the debate. Super embarrassing. When you're constantly complaining about accurate fact checks, that means I want to lie and they won't let me lie. That doesn't mean they did a bad job of moderating. That means they did a good job of moderating. Now, when you get to, okay, well, they didn't fact check everything Kamala Harris said. No, guys, fact checks, if you had to fact check politicians, Republicans and Democrats, on their small and mid-sized lies, you'd never get out of a debate. No, fact checks are for egregious lies in the middle of a debate. After the debate, fact check every little thing you want, right? But you can't interrupt a debate for and this applies more to Donald Trump than it does for Kamala Harris. Do you know how many things that Donald Trump lied? He had 33 clear, provable lies. They did what, 2 fact checks? Imagine if they fact checked both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on all of their lies.
Yeah.
That would have been about 33 for Donald Trump, and at most 4 or 5 for Kamala Harris.
But also,
so I know you don't believe it. You never believe anything. Your opinion is not a fact.
But also, look,
okay.
Trump and both of the candidates should go into that debate expecting the moderators to be unfair, right? And what I mean by that is Trump should have been prepared to do the fact checks himself. So for instance, when Kamala Harris hit him about his tariffs, when Trump implemented tariffs against China, well, Trump should have been prepared to say, oh, that's interesting, because Joe Biden doubled down on those tariffs. He implemented additional tariffs and he kept my tariffs. He could have done a great job. He could have been prepared, but he wasn't prepared. Kamala Harris hit him with the tariffs point and he just cowered and had a grumpy face like a child. So Greg Gutfeld wants to tell us that no, Trump actually did great and the real problem here was the moderators. Well, you can critique the moderators if you want, but you can't then turn around and say that Trump did a good job. He did not do a good job during that debate.
No, absolutely pathetic, guys. Look, when Gutfeld's like, oh, they did 2 fact checks. Yeah, because the brother said that Haitian immigrants were eating cats and dogs. If you don't fact check that, like, I can't make up a lie more outrageous than that.
Right.
You're just saying, I hate facts. I don't want you to ever mention facts, because if we do a debate based on facts, there's no way a Republican will win. There's no way Donald Trump will win. That's what you're saying when you say that. The second thing they fact checked was, are people executing babies after they're born and calling it an abortion? I mean, look, again, I know Republicans, you don't like, some portion of them are gone. They're lost, they really believe it. They show one case in the country where a baby was executed after a pregnancy, and the state said, oh, that's okay, that's a post-birth abortion. You can't find one case, because it doesn't happen. That's crazy. That's a lunatic conspiracy theory, even though a giant percentage of Republicans believe it. So that's when you need to do a fact check on outrageous lies, okay? So, and to your point, Anna, if I was debating Donald Trump, I wouldn't care if you put Don Jr. and Eric Trump as the 2 moderators.
Exactly.
Have at it, Hoss.
Yeah.
You know how many times Anna and I have been on a panel where it's 3 against 1, 4 against
Cenk,
1?
I debated Ben Shapiro before the Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce, and the person moderating our debate was conservative.
Yeah, by the way, every time we go on cable news,
I'm not complaining about that, by the way.
Yeah, every anchor is establishment, and anytime we mention a populist position, they're like, oh yeah, radical left. Oh, you think universal healthcare? We should. Every country on earth, every developed nation on earth has universal healthcare. Radical lunacy, and I got to deal with that every time I go on TV. That's called life in the big city, okay? Yes. And you're right there, you get to respond. If your man is so pathetic that he can't respond to what you think are Kamala Harris's outrageous lies, then apparently you got the wrong guy in the debate. And by the way, you guys also sound like Joe Scarborough. So you remember after the Biden debate, they had a moment of clarity, and we went through this, and even Scarborough was like, he's gotta go. It was a terrible performance. And I said, no, they'll switch. They always do this in the first 24 hours. They have a human reaction. They say the truth accidentally. And they switched right after the first 24 hours. Scarborough went back to, no, Biden should stay in. He was great at that debate. I don't know, the problem was this, the problem was that.
Dynamo.
Yeah, and Greg Gutfeld doing the same exact, Fox News anchors said after the debate, oh boy, Trump lost, that was bad. 24 hours later, like, oh, Trump won. No, facts suck. We don't want facts. We're the liars. Oops, I mean, you guys sound ridiculous.
And look, let's take a look at what Washington Post found after the poll. And I think this is where the panic comes in, right? So this is just one example of some analysis of how voters felt about the debate performance. So they asked 25 uncommitted swing state voters who they thought performed better. And here are the results. If you take a look, you can see that obviously the vast majority of those who participated in this felt that Kamala Harris performed better. Only 2 felt that Trump performed better. Now, 12 of those undecided voters lean toward Harris, 10 of them lean toward Trump, and 3 of them are completely undecided. But that's not the end of Fox kind of finding ways to cope with Trump's terrible performance. Before we get to the next video, Cenk, what do you want to say?
I don't want you to think, oh, Washington Post. Fox News did the same thing. Overwhelming majority thought Kamala Harris won. And they were right-wing, independent, and Democrat, hadn't made up their mind yet, come in neutral. It's a Fox News panel. 2/3 of them, like every poll, 2/3 of them thought Kamala Harris won.
So Hugh Hewitt said that the American people are actually in the process of completely changing their minds on the debate. So maybe they started off feeling like Kamala Harris did well, but you know what? They're changing their minds. Let's hear him make his case.
I think he knows that he is in the process of winning the debate on Tuesday night, and I want to explain that. NFL fans are familiar with the phrase, upon further review, the officials have reversed the call on the field due to overwhelming evidence. Well, upon further review, the American public has decided that debate was rigged. It was absolutely in the tank by ABC and Disney. Disney, one example, not one question on China. Is Disney worried about their theme parks? So only in the extent that the Soviets won in 1972 did Kamala win on Tuesday night. I think Donald Trump is reading internals, reading their polls, and realizing the American people are disgusted with ABC. Kamala Harris did not answer one question directly, and they're moving towards him. He's winning.
Okay, I should note that the anchor was Martha McCallum as Hugh Hewitt was making his case, if you want to call it that. And Martha McCallum and Bret Baier were supposed to moderate the second presidential debate. But yesterday on Fox and Friends, Donald Trump called in and said, yeah, I don't know, I'm not really inclined to do a second debate, especially if Bret Baier and Martha McCallum are moderating it, and it's because they've been willing to tell the truth about
From time to time.
From time to time.
He's like, he said, no, I want Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham. In other words, if they're not in the tank for me, I'm such a moron, I suck at debating so much, and I plan to do nothing but lying, that if I don't have 2 people in the tank for me, there's no way I could win a debate. I mean, it gets more pathetic every single day. Hugh Hewitt is supposed to be the intellectual right-winger. I do declare. You see, 1/3 is actually larger than 2/3, and so I see that Trump is winning, really. Yeah. Do you, Mr. Intellectual?
People are, right now, as we speak, people are in the process of changing their minds right now.
And by the way, you know why they do that? Because he says that, because he's in the same right-wing bubble, and in the right-wing bubble, they're just getting themselves in a frenzy like, oh yeah, it was so unfair, oh, facts suck, facts are unfair, oh yeah. And the more fervor they get, and like the angrier they get and the louder they get, they think they're winning, but they just sound crazier, right? Yeah. But in their ecosystem, they're like, everybody's enraged. The facts broke out in a debate, right? And so just because all of you are at an 11 on this one doesn't mean the rest of the country is. The rest of us are looking at like, you guys like, they think the guy who said that people are eating cats and dogs won the debate? Okay. Like you're accidentally discrediting yourself and the entire movement along with Trump. So Total Trick on Twitter says, oh, Anna just said Trump lost the debate because of his grumpy face. No, brother, you didn't get the entire statement correctly. He lost because he had no rebuttal to Kamala Harris, when honestly, especially with the tariffs thing, he could have had a great rebuttal. No rebuttal, just a grumpy face. You're not gonna win a debate that way. You have to believe in objective reality. He did not perform well. Well, you could love him as a candidate, you could love his policy proposals. That is separate from a debate performance. His debate performance was bad. By the way, and in both sides are hypocrites on this. Then the right wing's like, can you believe Kamala Harris's facial expressions like, like she's so scolding, it was terrible. And you're like, oh, Trump looked like he was pouting. How dare you say anything about Trump's face, right? By the way, the Democrats do it too. They'll say, oh, Trump looked like slumped shoulders and said all the things I've said. They're like, you can't make any comments about Kamala Harris's looks. No. In a debate, those optics matter. You can make all the comments you want. Finally, let's get to Donald Trump, okay? So Donald Trump has been both complaining about the moderators while also declaring himself as the winner of the debate. So let's watch him go on and on and on about the ABC moderators right now.
The public was not fooled. They saw right through it. Kamala's lies and unprecedented partisan interference of two low-life anchors. They're low-lives. Those two people should be fired as an anchor. A couple of more years, they'll be fired. And she was nasty. She looked at me with hatred in her eyes. And him, he's a nice guy. I mean, they were told to do it by George Slobodanopoulos, who's in the group, right? George Slobodanopoulos. They kept screaming at me. I said, why are you screaming? I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at him. I always liked him. I'm not going to watch him anymore. I'm not going to watch him because he's not legit. What he did, I'm not going to watch him. And his hair's not as good as it used to be, you know?
So Trump's talking about David Muir, and look, I gotta be honest, David Muir's hair is as good as it used to be. Like, he's got great hair, he does. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to summarize Trump's speech. That's all I hear when I hear this brother talking. And here's how you could tell who's right and who's wrong. After the first debate, did you hear Donald Trump complaining about the moderators? Nope.
No, he thought they were very good moderators.
You know why? Because he won that debate.
He did?
See, we're honest, and we said it at the time. In fact, we got a lot of crap from the Democrats for saying it overwhelmingly, that Biden's brain fell out of his head. See, it's not that hard to be unbiased if you actually care about the issues, care about being real and being honest, right? But no, the two sides get into their camps and can't see straight, right? So in this case, Donald Trump is a total nut job. And last time he doesn't complain about the moderators, this time, nonstop. That's how you know he lost.
And he also, of course, lashed out on specific people on social media. So here's what he wrote yesterday. People are just starting to give me credit for having a great debate.
So by the way, note that they weren't giving you credit before because you know you lost. And they're starting to give you credit because Laura Loomer walked into the room and was like, oh yeah, I think you nailed it. Oh yeah, you got a cat or a dog to eat? You nailed it.
Okay, the voters and voter polls showed it. They didn't, but the fake news media wasn't giving the credit that was due. Now they are seeing the results with independent voters, evangelicals and more, and saying, wow, remember, I wasn't debating one person, I was debating three. They should fire everybody at ABC Fake News, whose two lightweight anchors have brought disgrace onto the company. And he's also posting about Fox anchor Neil Cavuto, who said that Trump decisively lost the debate. And here's what he posted this morning. Neil Cavuto, Fox's lowest rated anchor, is one of the worst on television. I actually prefer the losers at CNN and MSDNC.
I wanted to summarize that one real quick. He, by the way, like a good baby, he cried at night. He cried himself to sleep about Neil Cavuto, and then he got up in the morning and did another Neil Cavuto Truth Social post. And the Truth Social post where he said all of ABC should be fired, let me summarize that one. The whole staff should be fired. Look, again, it's so funny. We live in different worlds and different bubbles, right? Because for the MAGA crowd, they're like, yeah, fire everyone at ABC, that means we won. Does it? Okay, and then you got blue MAGA, and then you got a huge percentage of the country who's looking and going, are you guys serious? Like,
I'm just amused that he's definitely jealous of David Muir's hair. And he should be, I think.
You know why? Because he's such a child. He thinks so simplistically. Remember he rejected a whole bunch of people from his cabinet because he thought they didn't look like they were out of central casting. So the first time around, he was going to hire John Bolton as his first national security advisor, but he didn't like his mustache.
You know what? He was right.
That was a rare accidental correct decision, but
yes,
anyway.
He was right.
And then Chris Christie could have been VP, but he was overweight. But he hired Rex Tillerson, even though for Secretary of State, even though he was the CEO of ExxonMobil. What does that have to do?
Oh, like, square jawed American.
Square jawed, out of central casting.
No mustache.
Okay. So that's why he actually likes David Muir, because he's like, out of central casting, looks really good.
He does look like he's out of central casting.
Exactly. That's why he's like, I'm not watching anymore.
Oh my God. All right.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.